Welcome to the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. You can catch us Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on FS1. Here's what this podcast is all about. It's an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the day's show, and there is a lot to get into in today's podcast. Antonio Brown from the Steelers comes by to tell us, does he have regrets about the Facebook Live, and talks a little trash to Shannon. Skip is not buying Roger Goodell's reason for not being in Foxborough for the AFC Championship game. Six-time Pro Bowl wide receiver A.J. Green drops by the set to tell us what makes Julio Jones so good. The guys debate if Bill Belichick is the greatest football coach of all time. Plus, Hall of Famer Dan Marino is here and talks a little bit of his throwing style versus Mr. Discount Double Check, Aaron Rodgers. Some well-dressed folks in the crowd today, Shannon. That is an extreme bow tie today, Shannon, I have to tell you.
You like it, Joy?
It's like a butterfly, almost.
I mean, that's...
But you usually are very well-dressed, but you are not the most well-dressed in the crowd today. I think our buddy right here.
Yeah, my man. He got the pocket square and everything.
The pocket square, the socks, the basketball socks. You look good, buddy.
That man is Major Holmes, and that man, Shannon Sharpe, is who you should aspire to dress like, right?
No mercy. All right, Antonio Brown is here. Woo! Antonio Brown is here on behalf of Visa. Visa is surprising fans and helping them get ready for the Super Bowl. Antonio, welcome to Undisputed.
How you doing?
Doing great.
Excited to be here.
Thanks for coming on. Antonio, I'm going to get right to it because I'm not one of these guys that I've been critical of you. And I'm not going to allow you to come on here and then all of a sudden I'm going to pretend like I've said nothing.
Yeah.
I've been critical of some of your antics, some of the excessive celebration penalties. I was very, very critical of the Facebook Live post.
Yeah.
Can you understand why myself or some of the other guys would see that as being selfish and not team-oriented?
I can in some ways, but I feel like for the most part, my time in the NFL and my time of people getting to know me and experiencing me, you know, I'm a guy who came to Central Michigan, direct guy, you know, always does the right things. Celebrating the end zone, you know, that's what you work hard for. You know, it's not intended to cause any more attention on myself. It just shows how I work and how excited I am when I'm in the zone. You know, so I don't think there's a direct correlation to me wanting to be selfish or me wanting to be a distraction. Because I'm a team guy, man, and I think that's been established from my time and people knowing.
But you look, clearly, the offense is where the Pittsburgh Steelers are at.
Yeah.
But you getting 15-yard penalties, you're putting your defense in a situation where the offense only has to go 15 fewer yards in order to get a field goal or a touchdown. Yeah. That's the part that I'm talking. I understand your happiness. I understand your celebration. Yeah. It's just like I tell people, like, well, won't he act like he's been there before? I say, when you go on vacation, how many times have you been on vacation? You take pictures every time. Why don't you act like you've been on a vacation before? But I get it. But you are harming your defense more so than showing your exuberation for what you've been able to do.
I think, you know, I don't think I got a personal foul a lot. You know, I mean, I got a celebration maybe once or twice.
3.
But maybe 3 times. But you gotta celebrate. You know, I think in the world we live in, everyone want to celebrate your faults. They want to maximize your failures, and I think we need to celebrate people winning. You know, you working hard. It's hard to score touchdowns in the NFL. I'm sure you know.
Absolutely.
So when you get there, you gotta celebrate. It's no time to act like you've been there before. Every time is a new time, is a new feeling. So,
Look, I'm not as old school as Shannon is, so I didn't get as upset about the excessive celebration. And I have defended you on this show because I've been around you a number of times before. Yeah. And I've always said, back me up on this.
Yep.
Good guy, good heart, hard worker.
Very
which can
hard
cancel a lot of the negative stuff because you do work hard and your teammates know you're as committed to that process as anybody.
Yeah.
But it was shocking to us that you did the Facebook Live only because it looked disrespectful to a coach that we love. Like, if I could play for an NFL coach, I'd choose your coach. And that's the way it came across. Do you have any regrets at all about it?
Absolutely, I have regrets. You know, it's not something I want to do, embarrass my organization, embarrass myself, and put my brothers on display, and put my organization at fault. You know, it's something I live with, and it's a mistake, you know. And
what was your thought process on it? Did you think twice about it? Were you were you a little afraid to do it? Did you think, gee, this might not fly, or you?
I didn't think it was going to get as much stir as it got, but when I ended it, I kind of reflected upon, I'm caught in the moment, emotionally excited. But when I ended the video, I thought to myself, like, I don't think that could have been good based on the video. Probably heard coach talking in regards while we was playing. So, I feel really bad about it, something I moved on from. And I'm sure we all have made mistakes. I'm sure you probably sitting up here said something that you probably shouldn't have said. But, I learned from it and I move on from it.
Was Mike hurt by it when you talked to him? How did he,
I think he came out publicly more harshly than he kind of related to me, and I thought he had to. I mean, he's the head coach of our team, and he got to come down on players when they do such things. But he didn't seem to have enough effect. We was faced with a big game, and that was our singularity focus.
And then after that, you're going to meet the media, and you went to get your hair cut within the facility, right? You made them wait, and you did put that on Instagram. Was that a statement to the media?
Not at all, man.
Okay.
Media is a part of my job. I never hate anyone for slandering my name or talking bad about me. This job comes with criticism. You answer criticism with achievement. It's not about what I say or how I get emotional or how I act. I look up to Shannon Sharpe. This is a guy who wear the same number I wear. I wear number 84 because this guy played with Denver, had a lot of 100-yard games.
He sure did.
His brother played in the NFL, and to see him talk about me on TV in a bad way, I don't take it personal to him. I know this job I'm in come with criticism, and you answer that with achievement. But
by the way, you have guts to come on here and sit there.
Yeah. I'm not running from it now.
Outside of game tape, because obviously some of the great receivers, you place different teams, you watch them. But I'm saying when they're on television, do you sit down and watch a Beckham or Julio or A.J. Green or some of the great receivers? Do you look at them and say, wow, I need to have me a big game? Because you were watching when Julio had 300. I knew you knew that.
Yeah. I watch all those guys on a week-to-week basis, and it's continually competitiveness. A.J. Green did this or Odell Beckham did that. I'm like, hey, man, I'll put that in my notes. And I try to take things from every game because we all does things different or better. So I always watch. I'm a big fan of the game, and I'm always trying to grow in regards to the game and take pieces from other guys' game and put in my game to be better.
So how much do you feel at this point you're back in the good graces of both your teammates and your hierarchy, your organization, to the point that you're going to be a Steeler going forward?
I think it's a great possibility. I think it never was a doubt for me in regards to how my team felt, the players in the locker room and my coaches. I know they know when the balls roll out and the meeting room start, I'm there on point with my folder, getting my notes. And when I hit the practice field, everything's going to be full speed. I know the position I'm in correlates things to be a lot bigger than what they should be. I know, you guys out of the media got a great responsibility. It's your guys' job to put out the truth, because I got kids and people who watch the shows and look at what you guys say and take it to heart. I don't think my reputation or my correlation or how I relate to guys in the locker room or my play on the field was any question. It ever should have been a question. We talking about a championship game that people don't even get a chance to experience over a case of a career. To say that I wasn't running the right route or to say that I'm mad that we scored a touchdown, that's just disheartening.
And that was a report in one of the Pittsburgh papers that you were running the wrong route or half-hearted routes.
Who does that? But,
so that's bogus, you're saying, right?
Yeah, I feel like as a media job, it's your job to tell the truth and give people fundamental facts of the reality things. And sometimes those things can get misconstrued from being in the position I'm in, and people just want to create stories.
You also took criticism for not appearing to celebrate one of your touchdowns in Foxborough. What's your thought on it? Your
I just think,
point of view.
when you're under that microscope, people are going to try to paint that picture and then create hype and put that type of attention on you. I think they took a wrong play, a picture from a whole nother play, and put that picture next to the touchdown play and say I was upset. Why would I be upset? The goal in the playoffs is to win. I wouldn't be here right now if we won a game. We'll be getting ready to play the biggest game in the world. It's a championship game versus the Patriots.
So why didn't you talk after the loss to New England? Why did you blow off the media?
I never blew off the media. You know, when the game was over, I was already had on my clothes. I was leaving. One reporter asked, "Hey, can I get you?" I'm like, "Hey, I'm already dressed. I'm leaving." I don't blow off the media. I don't blow off no one. I'm a professional. I don't run for anything.
Let me ask you a question. Yeah. Had you won that game, you had 150 yards, would you have been dressed that quick and out of the locker room?
It wasn't even that quick. It was a lot of guys out the locker room. I just think
but you're Antonio, it goes you,
yeah.
It goes you, Big Ben, and Le'Veon. Yeah. You guys are the guys that the media really wants to talk to. You understand that, Antonio.
Yeah, but I'll never go out on anyone. I never disrespect someone to feel like I'm too mad to talk. I'm a professional. My job entails me to deal with the media. I was already halfway at the locker room. It wasn't like I said, no, I'm not talking. That's not how it went. But when people write reports, they don't report how it went. They'll say, oh, he blew off the media. I never blew off the media one time. Why would I blow off the media?
So that was the first, so how many times had you done that out of the 16 regular season game, the playoff game, how many times did you not talk to the media after the game?
I never done that.
So you can understand why people would think you blew the media off.
No, but it's too late. It's like, it's over. Half of the guys are out the locker room. I wasn't like I was in the locker room. I left. I even came back to the locker room. My guy, Lou Lamson, a photo guy who was there on the field, he had a box for me. I walked back in the locker room to put it in my bag so I don't have a handful of things going to the bus. And the guy said, hey, can I get you? It was already over. It wasn't like I was in the locker room and I just got dressed. Like, I'm not hiding from anyone. I am who I am. I'm never going to run. I'm highly professional. I could talk about anything. It's my job, and this is what I do.
So then you went back on Facebook on the private plane that you were on, and you spoke to your fans. And it leads some of the Hall of Famers, the old schoolers, to conclude that your fans and your brand is maybe as important, if not more important, than your team.
I wouldn't have a brand if I wasn't on a team.
Well, that's a fact.
I'm a player first.
So you do understand that.
Come on, man.
They're applauding what you do.
They only my fan and got a brand because I'm a player on the field.
Yeah. But
if that wasn't the case, I wouldn't have that. So I got to take care of business first. I understand that. You know, but I always like to give my fans an in-tune perspective so they can get a chance to see how I feel, because if they just hearing what everyone else says and I don't say anything, they just think that's what the story is. So I have to get in a direct correlation to let them know how I feel in regards of what the truth is.
But people see better than they hear. They saw what you did in the locker room, and Mike Tomlin said you apologized to him and the team. You go back on social media and tell the fans, the very people that you were trying to appease when you posted the Facebook Live. And then that wasn't good enough. Now you put on Snapchat, you're getting a haircut at the stadium, and the media, you are now late to that. And then you put on, so can you understand?
It's no late. It's, the media, I got a guy who worked with the Steelers, Dominic, he run the media. We on championship week of practice. I just got out of practice. I can't come to the media, come do an interview sweaty all up. I gotta get a haircut. I gotta ice my legs. I gotta get a stretch. I got a lot of things to do.
The treatment part, I'm with you. The icing, the stretching, I'm with you. But you're gonna have to miss me with the haircut, bro.
I've been wearing a helmet. It's cold. I got a face mask over my head. I can't come in the middle looking crazy. People already talking crazy. I was like, hey, what's going on?
Your hair was looking different than what it is now?
Oh, yeah, it's fresh now. I was just out of practice. I got a helmet.
Go one other direction. Help me here. Enlighten me, if you would, about one of your teammates, Le'Veon, who's got a beef with me that became a rap beef.
Le'Veon's is highly competitive. He's the best running back in the world. And
tell him again.
He's the best running back in the world. And you can't skip. It's hard for guys when they know they're the best and they come in and we hear, as players, you hear what people say. We can act like we don't hear, but we hear. And when people talk about Le'Veon, he's a bad guy. He's he did this, he did that. Man, the guy's a highly professional running back who take 30 carries a game.
I got it.
He can catch the ball wherever. And you may have slandered him. And
I didn't slander. I never said he was a bad guy.
I said that was Zeke.
What'd he say?
The best running back.
I said Zeke's better.
Zeke only had 1 year. He had 1 year. He had 1 year. Zeke is a great...
He also had one game at Pittsburgh this year.
He did.
Remember that game?
Hey, but Le'Veon missed 4 games.
He did.
And he catch and run and block.
Okay, so my opinion is that Ezekiel Elliott has already proven that he's a better
How are we
running back.
proving
Now,
that? It's
Shannon,
1 year.
Okay,
That's
because
1
he
year,
led the
Skip.
league in rushing. What does your eyes tell you?
Le'Veon missed 4 games.
He tiptoes.
He run hard. 30 carries.
See, the thing is, I was telling Skip, is that you train to be number one. Yeah. And when someone like myself say, well, he's second best or he's third best, you take that as a slight.
You're taking offense to that.
You take that as a slight.
That's a challenge. We are competitors.
Right.
If I said Tony Gonzalez was a better tight end than you,
man, you better hush your mouth. CC. He all about drama.
I got to have my teammates back. Yeah. Tony Gonzalez should not be spoken in the same sentence with Shannon Sharpe.
But ask Tony Gonzalez that. But if you ask Tony Gonzalez that, he's a competitor.
He would say otherwise.
Just like if I said Stephen A. Smith is better than you.
Stephen A. Smith. There's no Bomani Jones. There's no Torres. There's no Shannon Sharpe. He started this. That's like saying these new skateboarders, oh, they're better than Tony Hawk. Without Tony Hawk, there is no skateboard. There is no vert.
But it's new riders. You right, paved the way for him.
He's the Godfather.
Allow me to say, I do love Stephen A. Smith like a brother, and I do miss him, and he will always be my friend, but he never won a single debate with me.
No mercy. Roger Goodell was asked about Deflategate at his press conference yesterday and said the NFL is, quote, moving on from that, and they're focusing on the game now. Goodell was asked about the Patriots from Boston Globe columnist Dan Shaughnessy. Let's take a listen.
Tom Brady Sr. was highly critical and personally insulting toward you last week. You've not been in Foxborough in the 2 years since the Deflategate investigation. That's your explanation strains all credibility that you needed to be in Atlanta 2 weeks in a row. It appears that you're avoiding Foxborough. The Patriots are here in this game. Back home where I live, it feels like there's still a war between the Patriots, their fans, and you. How would you characterize the situation, and is it not awkward?
I would tell you that it's not awkward at all for me. We have a job to do. We do our job. As I said, there was a violation. We applied a process and discipline, and we came to a conclusion that was supported by the facts and by the courts. So from our standpoint, we understand when fans who are loyal and passionate for a team object and don't like the outcome. I totally understand that. That's not an issue for me. And I was in Boston 2 seasons ago for 2 consecutive playoff games, the same way I was in Atlanta this year. So that happens. So from our standpoint, this is just about making sure we take care of business and do it the way that is right to uphold the integrity of our teams and our rules for all 32 teams. If I'm invited back to Foxborough, I'll come.
Skip, what's your reaction?
What a bunch of phony baloney. That was my Look, I realize that the commissioner of the National Football League has an obligation to attempt to defend the league's position on Deflategate. But the commissioner said, as we just saw, and I quote, there was a violation. We came to a conclusion supported by the facts and the courts. Baloney to all of the above. The league paid for a Wells report that came to a murky and unsupported conclusion that it was more probable than not that the New England Patriots deflated the footballs below the legal limit. There was no smoking gun, mere murky circumstantial evidence. So how can Roger Goodell then, in his State of the Union, conclusively state there was a violation? Sorry, Commish, I'm not buying it. Then he said that that conclusion was supported by the facts and the courts. Wrong again, because Judge Berman in the first round, which was federal district court in Manhattan, basically rolled his eyes and scoffed at the NFL's case against Tom Brady and ruled in favor of Tom Brady, which then kicked the case up to appellate court. And at that point, the appellate judges, there were 3 of them, voted 2-1, not against Tom Brady, but in favor of Roger Goodell, merely ruling that the NFL players had given Roger Goodell, unfortunately, the right to mete out whatever punishment he so chose. So the courts didn't rule in favor of the NFL in its case against Tom Brady. They just finally said, and this is on appeal, we're sorry, Tom, but your whole Players Association gave him the right to say whatever he wants to say. If he wants to suspend you for 4 games, 4 games.
And Tom is a member of that Players Association that signed up for this agreement. But go ahead.
Okay, and finally, Goodell said he will attend a Patriots home game next year, quote unquote, if I'm invited. If he's invited, he's the commissioner of the National Football League. That is so disingenuous on that's more just baloney on top of phony baloney, because clearly the commissioner invites himself to games. If next year Jacksonville is playing San Francisco and Jacksonville calls and says, Commissioner, we invite you to our game, do you think he's going to go? No, he's not going to go. And in this case, he hasn't gone to Foxborough for more than 2 years because he was afraid to go to Foxborough. Let's just call it what it is. And I don't blame him for that, because he would have needed presidential-type security to go to a game at Foxborough after Deflategate.
He has that.
Okay? Well, he does. But my final point, and you brought this up, and I'm going to clarify this. You said that after Judge Berman ruled in favor of Tom Brady, that Judge Berman wound up at a party at Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots' house, right?
Yes.
Wrong. They were both invited to a big party of power brokers out in the Hamptons, out on Long Island, and it was the event was attended by Oprah and Martha Stewart and Katie Couric and Alec Baldwin, and they had a chance meeting, Kraft and Judge. Well, they just, and again, it was reported in the New York Daily News, I believe it was, that they talked to each other, they introduced each other to each other, and talked for 2 full minutes. Well, don't tell me they have some relationship that somehow affected his judgment on the Brady ruling, which was long past at that point. Stop it.
You done?
I'm done.
Or you finished?
I think I think you're finished.
No. Let me ask you a question, Skip. When a corporation hires an independent investigation, who pays for that? So is it biased? So if Fox were to have...
it's biased.
Hold on, wait a second. Mm-hmm. If Fox were to have an independent investigation, they're going to hire someone from outside. Who pays for that? Fox. That's the way it works, Skip. Mm-hmm. So the NFL hired an outside corporation to do this investigation. Were they not supposed to get paid because they're the NFL? They work for a fee, not for free. There's a difference between the two. You do understand that. Skip.
Well, how biased can you be when they're paying you that much money to conduct an investigation internally of what happened with one of your constituents? That's ridiculous.
Skip, let's look at it like this. Of course the NFL wants to move on. It's a lot easier to move on when you're on the winning side. Because when they lost the first case to Judge Berman, they didn't move on, did they? They appealed immediately. Skip. This was never about deflated football. This was never about air pressure, because Tom Brady's attorneys never made it about his guilt or innocence. They made it about saying the commissioner did not have the authority, he did not have the power to not only hear the appeal, but also rule on the appeal. But Article 46 in the collective bargaining agreement, 31 of the 32 teams voted, said he does.
Same for my friend Ryan Clark and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Way to go, Ryan.
Okay,
go ahead.
But the New England Patriots wasn't the Pittsburgh Steelers, so they voted that he did have that power. The owners also signed unanimously that the commissioner had the authority and had the power. So you can't give a man power and then you get a ruling that you don't like says he has too much of it. That's not how it works, Skip. You know that. All you had to do, why not make a case that says my client is guilty or innocent? Not challenge the authority that you know that he has. And that's what Tom Brady tried to do. And you look at it, Skip. all the appellate court did was reaffirm what Commissioner Goodell said. I have the authority to not only hear this case, not only hear the appeal, but also ruling. So now they made him even more powerful than what he was. I agree, Skip. I think the commissioner should be out of the discipline business. When it comes to DUIs, when it comes to domestic violence, when it comes to weed infractions, let that go to an arbitrator.
Okay.
But I'm going to tell you something that will never, ever reach an arbitrator's desk. When it comes to the integrity of the National Football League, when it comes to the footballs, when it comes to gambling, when it comes to Spygate, that's his job. The commissioner really has two jobs. And a lot of people think it's about the integrity. That's his number 2 role. His number 1 role is to make these 32 owners more wealthy than they already were. That's number 1. And then number 2 is the integrity of the game. He has an obligation. He's not only the commissioner of the New England Patriots, and I get it. He and Mr. Kraft was thick as thieves. They had a big 6, Mr. Kraft, Jerry Jones, Daniel Snyder, Richardson, the Rooneys, and John Morrow. That's the big 6. When something goes on, he goes to those guys first. And you remember when everybody was calling for his head with the Ray Rice debacle, with the Adrian Peterson debacle, with the Greg Hardy situation, name the guys that stepped up and said, he's our commissioner. We back him 1,000%. Daniel Snyder, Mr. Bob Kraft, Jerry Jones. So I get Mr. Kraft. He's like, how could you? And he was one of his staunchest supporters to get the job of being a commissioner. So Mr. Kraft is looking at like, how could you do me like this? But Roger Goodell said, hold up, Bob. I have an obligation to the other 31 owners also. I'm not only the commissioner of them, I'm also your commissioner also. Skip, something happened. You don't go 90 minutes and say, well, I went to use the bathroom, but you go into a room that doesn't have a toilet. So something happened. I mean, normally if I'm going into the bathroom...
How do you know something happened?
Don't worry about Skip.
You have conclusive, you have video?
I'm going to the bathroom, but somehow I'm in the closet. I mean, who does that? Skip. All they had, circumstantial evidence. How many people are in jail right now because of circumstantial evidence? Look at Aaron Hernandez. See, normal people, when you do something, you don't break all the cameras in your home. You got them for surveillance. He broke all the cameras in his home like, well, I was just upset. Tom Brady, okay, you change your phone every 6 months. If you're going to change your phone, you turn it back in. Who breaks the phone and says, well, I just discarded it?
How do you know he broke it? He just discarded it. They leaped to the conclusion that was like a sensational leap that they put a headline in the Wells Report. Tom Brady broke his phone. No, he didn't.
How do you know?
Discarded
How do you know he didn't?
Because he said he didn't break it.
Oh, now he said it.
Yeah.
Like Tom Brady.
Is he a liar? Has he lied before? I don't know him to be a liar.
No mercy. The Bengals, AJ Green. Welcome to Undisputed.
Thank you.
AJ is here on behalf of Snickers. Snickers will be broadcasting a live commercial during the Super Bowl. You can watch the full live commercial during the third quarter on Sunday. Okay, AJ, lots of people are picking the Falcons. Why did you pick the Falcons?
And they're hot right now. And, watching Matt Ryan this whole season, it's unbelievable. With Julio, Mo, Sanu, Gabriel, I think they got too many weapons. So.
Wow. So obviously, AJ, the focal point of the Super Bowl has been Julio Jones.
Right.
We hear Sanu call him an alien, and he's obviously freakishly talented.
Right.
Can you make a case you're better than Julio Jones?
Let me say this. Crazy thing about me and Julio, we've been compared together since we were in high school to college and now, and we're both having great success. He's playing at an unbelievable level. You know, I expect this game. That's somebody I watch. Utmost respect, man. But, you know, I'm going to let y'all debate. You know, I feel like I'm a great receiver, and I know he's a great receiver. So
can you say there's one thing you do better? Is there one facet of your game that might be better?
I'll let y'all debate about that one.
Well, let me ask you this. Obviously, not game tape, but when these other receivers are on, like a Julio or a Beckham or Antonio Brown, do you watch these guys play other than on game tape?
You know, sometimes I watch a lot of receivers in the offseason when I got more time to break down the film and look at some more stuff that I can take to my game. But during the season, I'm just basically trying to work on my game. Right. But in the offseason, I check out those guys because they're tremendous receivers that you can really learn from. And as being a student in the game like myself, I look at anything to make my game better.
But you can understand the comparisons will always be there because normally when two players play the same position, they're very close selection-wise, and they come in the same year. So you know that comparison, kind of like the '83 draft of quarterbacks, Marino, Elway, Kelly. There's always that comparison. So you know this comparison is going to go moving forward.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be like that till we're done. He's in the Super Bowl, so he has a big spotlight right now. But like I said, all I can do is control is playing my game. I'm happy for him because he works his butt off, and the team is playing like an unbelievable level right now.
What you want to go, Skip?
No, go ahead.
Okay, Julio's here with the Falcons. What do A.J. Green and the Cincinnati Bengals need to do? Who do they need to acquire? What do they need to do to make sure they're playing at the Super Bowl 52 in Minnesota next year?
I think the biggest thing for me, I got to stay healthy. It wasn't a great season being healthy with me. I think we just got to get over the hump, man. We got to stop shooting ourselves in the foot. Got to make more plays. That's all that matters. I feel like we got the guys that take us to the next level. Me and Andy and I have been together for a long time. And it's about time we take that next step to be mentoring with some of the greats. So.
One more thing, Skip. Do you believe Marvin Lewis is the guy that can get you where y'all need to be?
Yeah, of course. I'm a firm believer the coaches don't play this game. We as players play the game, and I never blame a coach or whatever it takes. I blame the players, and that's our job to get over the hump. Coach Lewis always can give us the format to get out there and make plays, but we have to make those plays to get over the hump. So.
How much better would you be if Matt Ryan were your quarterback?
I'm happy with Andy. I love Andy. We have that great chemistry together. I'm so happy to be drafted by the Bengals. Like I said, man, I'm out there just trying to make plays. I don't care who the quarterback is.
So you still believe that Andy Dalton could get you guys to a Super Bowl?
Of course, that's my quarterback.
You sound like T.O. That's my quarterback.
No, but Andy is our guy. Andy is our guy, and I wouldn't have nobody else.
So we've gone back and forth all week about which receiver is more valuable to his team, Julio to Matt Ryan and the Falcons, or Edelman to Brady and the Patriots. Which way would you go?
I got to lean towards my boy Julio.
Yeah?
Yeah. Brady is unbelievable. I feel like he can do it with anybody, but...
Well, that's pretty much the point, because he's doing it without Gronkowski, right?
Julio is just a different cat, just a different animal out there.
Give us your breakdown of Julian Edelman as a receiver. What do you see?
That guy, I call him like a little Steve Smith. That anger, that little man syndrome that's always pissed off.
He is. No, he is. You're right. I agree.
That's his game, man. It's unbelievable. He go out there and he plays every snap like his last, and that's unbelievable the way he plays.
He has very good confined space quickness.
Oh, yeah.
That you could tell that punt returner like an Antonio Brown.
Right.
That start, stop.
Right.
What I've been trying to relay to Skip is that they play receiver, they have the same number, but that's really the only thing they have in common.
Right.
Because most of his catches are close to the line of scrimmage, so he's going to have a great run after catch. He's going to have a lot of broken tackles.
Yeah.
Julio is catching the ball down the field, but I've been trying to educate Skip on the receiver position.
I feel like Edelman, he runs a lot of cross routes. A lot of crossing routes. Julio runs the real route, the bang eights, the benches, the post, the daggers,
But if you look at the numbers, Edelman's numbers will stack up with Julio's. In some cases, especially on third down for first down, you would want Edelman because he had 24 catches for first down on third down to Julio's 9 this year.
Explain it to him why. I tried to yesterday, but he won't listen to me.
Edelman's a great receiver. Nothing off his plate, but Julio just.
Well, obviously, I told you, in a vacuum, if you compare them, it's like a joke.
In a vacuum, in a broom, in an oven, in a microwave.
The stats, stats can be padded a little bit when you got a great quarterback. So.
Okay. So you're saying Brady can make anybody look pretty good, right?
I think so.
Okay.
I think the biggest difference between the two is that you look at Edelman, he's a slot receiver, and most slot receivers are going to be high up on third down because they're running the drags, they're running the option routes, the flat routes. But if you look at the point of contact in which they catch the football, Edelman is 6.1, Julio is 12 yards. So one guy's catching the ball way down the field, the other guy's catching the ball close to the line of scrimmage.
Right, and when you play in the slot, you're not playing against the best corner all the time, you know what I mean? So it's a different animal on the outside. It's a different animal. You gotta be a man to play out there.
You heard that, Skip? A man to play.
You gotta play a man to play.
So wait a second. Are you saying Julian Edelman is not a man?
He's definitely a man.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
No mercy. Welcome back to Discovery Green live in Houston. We're now joined by Hollywood Dan Marino. Welcome, Dan.
Yeah, thank you, Joy. How you doing?
I'm doing
Good,
great.
good,
Dan
great.
is here
Good to
on
see you
behalf
again.
of Nutrisystem. Try the new Nutrisystem Lean 13 program. It's good to see you, Dan.
Good to see you. Yeah, and just wanted to say real quick about Nutrisystem that Monday is the biggest decision day for men to go on diets.
After the Super Bowl.
After the Super Bowl. Yeah, this coming Monday, more than New Year's Eve, any other day. So think about Lean 13.
What you guys didn't know, played a lot of Pro Bowls with this guy, worked with him for 10 years on CBS. He's the only man that I know. He had a pizza endorsement deal that paid him $2 million.
I wish. $2 million, okay.
He was 6 months into the deal, tears that deal up, signs a $3 million deal with Nutrisystem to lose the weight.
Well, it makes sense to me.
I'm like,
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I'm like,
It just gradually grows, it just goes up and up and up. It was two.
So then-
First it was like 500, now it's 2 million,
$2
now it's 3 million.
Well, you know,
I'll take it.
Shannon,
That's all
he's
right.
got to put a little,
It's
he's got to
exaggerated
sprinkle a little
bit.
extra on the
Sure.
story, or
Yeah.
it's no good.
By the way, Dan, what was this man like to work with all those
He
years?
was outstanding. It was fun.
Really? I don't know that guy.
No, we had more fun watching the games actually than doing the show.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
So, Dan, you picked the Falcons to win the Super Bowl.
Yes,
Why did
I
you
see
choose
that.
them?
Just looking at their offense and how high-powered they are, their ability to run it and throw it. Matt Ryan is on the he's going to probably win the MVP. And I think defensively they're young, but they're good enough to stop New England enough. The thing they got to do too, New England's going to try to run the ball and keep them off the field. That's one thing I always thought, that if you got a high-powered offense, that's what you want to do. And, if they can do that, then New England will have a shot. I think it's going to be a close game. Late in the game, Atlanta goes on a drive, kicks a field goal to win.
Close.
That kind of game, close game.
you mean close, but high scoring or
high
close?
scoring. Close and high scoring.
Mr. Marino,
Yes, sir.
I've got to ask you this question.
I already
My
know where it's
partner
going.
and I have gone back and forth all year long about Aaron bleepin' Rodgers. He says that Aaron Rodgers is historically great, that he can make throws no human has ever thought about making. And I always interrupt him and say, time out. Dan Marino was the greatest thrower of the football ever. Can you help me? Can
Yes.
you help make my case?
I don't disagree with you.
Thank you.
I can say that now, I guess, after I retire. But I will say Aaron Rodgers, it's unbelievable the throws he makes and the type of player he is and what he can do. Mainly when I was younger, I could move around a little bit, run around some, not quite like he can. But, he's making throws, running around, and then in the backfield, see the Hail Mary throws, everything that you can imagine as a quarterback making throws. But, Skip, thank you. That's cool. I don't disagree with it.
I know some of our younger viewers can't sort of stay in touch with what happened back in 1985. You were flinging it like no one has
We
ever
were slinging
flung it.
around, yeah.
Woo!
The 84, I
84 and 85.
still think 84 season.
Yeah, it was
Given
just
the rules
sensational. Yeah.
and given the way they played back then, I still think that's the greatest quarterback season in the history. Now, they've thrown for more touchdowns. There have been a lot of players throw for more yards. But given when he did it and what the complications, because back then, they hit the quarterback. There was nothing off limits to the quarterback. There was nothing off limit to the receivers. They could hold. They could throw you down. And to throw for 5,000 yards in the 80s when no one had ever been close to that, I still think that's the greatest season for our quarterback in the history.
I'm going to come on this show more often. You guys are really good for my ego. I love that. That's good.
And
Thanks.
by the way, to prop it up even more, the game you played on a Monday night against arguably the greatest defense ever, at least
Yeah,
the
the Bears,
hottest
they were
defense,
amazing.
the 85 Bears.
Yep, amazing
Monday
defense.
night, and again, it was at your place in Miami, but you tore them up pretty good.
That place was rocking, and the fact that we could hold on to our Miami Dolphins undefeated season that night kind of got the fans really riled up. But that defense was incredible. You think about the players they had with Richard Dent and Singletary and Dorison and Hampton and I mean all those guys. Otis Wilson, amazing players.
You got protected pretty well that night.
We had guys outside, Duper and Clayton, Nat Moore. We matched up well against them. And our offensive line was good enough to give me a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So, that's why we were so good in that game.
Skip says that Tom Brady needs to win this Super Bowl to make it 5 to be considered the greatest. I think his body of work, winning 2 MVPs, winning 4 Super Bowls, being a 3-time MVP, I think his body of work is well enough right now that we can say he's probably the greatest quarterback ever.
I mean, I don't disagree with you at all, Shannon. I think that, this guy, what he's done throughout his career, the way he's, taken different players. I mean, the one thing that they've had all this time is the continuity of Tom Brady and Belichick.
Correct.
But they also put other pieces around him, and he's winning with different players, different pieces. And that's why you can mention. I'm not sure you're ever going to be able to say there's one guy who was the greatest, different eras.
Right.
In his era, you can say he was, the greatest player, especially if he wins the Super Bowl.
Okay, Skip and I debate, who do you give more of the credit to New England's success, Tom Brady or Coach Belichick?
I'm a quarterback guy, so, but I really do think it's the continuity. I mean, for example, Bradshaw and Noel, and even though we didn't win a Super Bowl, but me and Coach Shula, we had a lot of wins together, a lot of playoff, runs, and so it's the continuity of the quarterback, continuity of that strong head coach.
You saw Joe Montana up close and personal, obviously, in the Super Bowl.
Joe well, yep.
And can you compare and contrast what you saw in Montana across from him that day versus what you see in Brady now via TV?
It's very competitive. Both guys are extremely ultra competitive. Very accurate what they're doing, throwing the ball. Joe was as good as it got as far as moving around in the pocket, moving out of the pocket, making throws. It's hard to compare them both because it's different times, but they're just as good as it gets in any era you can talk about.
But you would say Joe had the better legs than Tom.
Oh, no, there's no doubt. That's why I'm saying moving around. Yeah, there's no doubt. Yeah. Running bootlegs and all those kind of things.
You like to run the bootleg?
I'll do it if I had to. You know what I'm saying? But
Dan, thanks so much for being here.
I got
one more.
Last quick question.
Well, someone who played with Joe's over there, Jim Stuckey. He came up. Yeah.
There you go. Last quick question, a tougher question. Every time your name comes up as top 5 all-time quarterback, you hear, yeah, but he didn't win a Super Bowl. Does that still haunt you, or how do you feel about it at this stage of your life?
I don't mind talking about it. Yes, it doesn't haunt me, but it's a feeling that I wanted to have. And I've felt every other feeling you could have as a professional football player, Hall of Fame, breaking records, MVP, all that stuff, but I never knew what it felt like to walk off the field the Sunday night of the Super Bowl and say I was a champion. And I do think about that. There's no doubt about it, but can't do anything about it now.
Do you feel like it should be a blight on your resume or tarnish your resume because you didn't close a deal?
No.
We've talked about this a lot. You got there in your second year, and you said that I thought I would get back many times. Tell our audience how difficult it is to get to a Super Bowl.
That's the thing. That's what's amazing about the New England Patriots, how many Super Bowls they played. You guys went 2 in a row. The Buffalo Bills going 4 in a row. So, I mean, I thought I was the youngest. I think I still am the youngest quarterback started in the Super Bowl. I was 23 years old. I'm like, I figured I'm going to be back,
2 or 3, 4 more times.
4 times and win 2 or 3. And it just never happened. And that's one of those things that you have to appreciate. It's like, if you're Matt Ryan, take advantage of this opportunity because you never know when you're going to get back.
Well said.
Well,
thank you.
Before we let you go,
yeah.
Shannon gave me a lot of slack all year long, but I want you to know I represented the Dolphins all season long very well. Look at him looking at me right now, right?
He did.
So I had to know that our team was in the playoffs this year and his teams weren't.
There you go.
So you know.
That's all right. We'll be back next
year. So you know, I back him up all year.
She's
she's a Dolphin. All things Miami.
No mercy. Let's talk about Sunday's game. Bill Belichick will appear in his NFL record 7th Super Bowl as a head coach. He's won 4 so far. No coach has won 5 Super Bowls. Shannon, is Belichick already the greatest coach of all time?
No, I can't go there. I can't. Spygate happened. It's on his resume. It's like Olympic sprinters. When they test positive, everything they do after that, you call into question. Even though he's winning these games, is they doing something underhanded? Are they still cheating? Because here, let's just say this, Skip. They got caught in 2007.
Yep.
They were punished in 2008. He became the coach in 2000. Did it start in 2007? Does it go back? So I'm looking at him like, well, and I know this for certain. Had he not been caught, he would not have stopped. Because winning is like alcohol, like it's a drug, it's addictive, and it's intoxicating. And when you have this kind of success, and when you have the success and it's come through ill-gotten means, it's hard to let that go, Skip. It's hard. I can't go there. I'm gonna still say Bill Walsh for one reason. His legacy is intact. There was never any questions about when he did something illegal. There's his coaching tree speaks for itself. His offenses are still intact in the National Football League. If Coach Belichick did not have this stain on his resume, there'd be no question. I wouldn't even know why we would ask this question. But because Spygate happened on his watch, Deflategate, whether you believe it or not, he had anything to do with it, happened on his watch. And for those reasons, I can't give it to him.
So yesterday, you told me that Bill Belichick was far more valuable to the Patriot dynasty than Tom Brady was, and I vehemently argued the other way. Yet now you're telling me you're disqualifying Bill Belichick from greatest coach debate because of his history of cheating.
Yes.
So which is it to me?
Two things can be true.
Yeah.
He can be a cheater, and he can be responsible for their success.
A great cheater. Well said, touche. Okay, I'm going to make my football points first, and then I'm going to respond to what you said about cheating.
Okay.
But I may be biased here. I knew Bill Walsh very well. I love that man, and he was a genius. If anybody ever qualified for that label that gets tossed around pretty loosely, he was a genius. And he was a much better coach and / team builder than Belichick has proven to be over time. Because if you just look at the drafting, remember, Belichick has the final say on the draft pick.
He's had it since he's been there.
You got it. So did Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh was a savant at picking players in late rounds. And you just look at it, and I don't want to bore you with the details. A lot of our younger viewers don't care about this, but he did snatch Joe Montana in the 3rd round. In the same draft, Dwight Clark, who became a dominating receiver in the 10th round of that draft. And then his first breakthrough Super Bowl, beating my Cowboys twice that year to go to the Super Bowl and beat Cincinnati. He started 3 rookie draft picks in the secondary, which is, it's kind of Atlanta-esque this year, but it was unheard of because they became dominating players, starting with Ronnie Lott. And he picked him in the 1st round, the 2nd round, 3rd round, and went boom, 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 hit. And then Jerry Rice, he snatches him at the 16th pick in the 1st round. That's a pretty great pick. My man Charles Haley, who ended up winning 5 Super Bowl rings, in the 4th round. I could go on and on.
Yeah.
And Bill Belichick's draft history is pretty spotty if you look at it, because he pulls the final trigger. And okay, Brady fell into his lap in the 6th round, but I'll give him credit for that one. And I'll give him Gronk in the 2nd round. That's a great pick, right? Because he became a dominating player. And then Edelman in the 7th round. It turned out to be a really good pick, right? After that, I can't make much of a case for his drafts because that's not the way he's built his teams. He's swung and missed too many times.
I give him Seymour. I give him Richard Seymour.
Seymour. Okay, I'll give you. Was that before him or that was his pick?
That was his pick.
Okay, and that was a high pick. Though.
Yes.
Okay, and then he has acquired players that other teams gave up on too quickly, like Randy Moss in Oakland for a 4th round pick, Wes Welker for a 2 and a 7 from the Dolphins. Corey Dillon he got for a 2nd round pick, and that ignited that run. Talib was a great pick, pick up, I should say, by him for a 4th round pick. Great trade. But Bill Walsh invented the most creative offense in the history of the National Football League, the West Coast offense, and simultaneously built one of the top 2 or 3 defenses in football with his draft picks. He didn't coach that side, but he built that side. And Tom Brady became his own offense. For Belichick, he sort of built his own offense around himself, Tom Brady. And Belichick didn't have to really give him any receivers. He had Moss for a minute, and that helped that 07 burst. But in general, we're basically Julian Edelman and Chris Hogan all the way back to Troy Brown and Riche Caldwell and David Patton. You know, it's been a bunch of just guys that Brady made into Deion Branch, who was Super Bowl MVP and went elsewhere and was just another guy. So now we get to the legacy of cheating. It is hard for me to have that much respect for a quote-unquote greatest coach ever when he has a history of bending or breaking rules, which smacks of insecurity because, remember, five of his first 6 years as a head coach, including his time in Cleveland, he lost. He had losing records, 5 of his first 6, and until Brady fell out of the sky, Drew Bledsoe was the quarterback, and he was about to get fired again for a second time.
But Skip, the only coach to ever win in Cleveland is Paul Brown himself.
Okay.
So
you got me?
There are a lot of coaches that have gotten fired in Cleveland.
Okay, I got you. But remember, the first 2 Super Bowls, the St. Louis Rams accused the Patriots, never proven, but they have very vehemently, publicly accused Belichick's staff of spying on their walkthrough the night before the Super Bowl. And then Marty Herney, the ex-GM of the Carolina Panthers, this is the second Super Bowl, accused Bill Belichick's staff of spying on their walkthrough the night before the second Super Bowl that the Patriots won. And then how many teams have gone to Foxborough and complained that their electronics got weirdly jammed, inexplicably jammed, or Peyton Manning told Monday morning quarterback and Peter King, I never held a strategic conversation in the visiting locker room in Foxborough because I didn't trust that it wasn't bugged somehow. Right. So when we talked X's and O's, we went out in the hall and talked it.
And don't forget now, one of Coach Belichick's lieutenant went to the Denver Broncos and lost his job because he tried to tape a San Francisco 49ers walkthrough in London. That happened.
Okay. And we know what happened in Spygate. He just blatantly violated the rule. It said you can't tape defensive signals and then go at halftime and try to break down what the other team did, and he got caught.
They sent the memo, Commissioner Goodell sent the memo out saying if you're taping defensive signals from the sideline, cease immediately. You can go up like they do normally, Skip, and videotape the game, but you can't do it from the sidelines. Well, Coach Belichick says, well, he must have misunderstood. I don't know what you misunderstand by saying you can't tape from the field. There's really nothing to miss. The field, football field, you can't tape.
Busted.
And he did it anyway. And for me, if this wasn't on his, Skip, I don't even really know how we debate this. If these allegations, Spygate, he admitted he did it.
He did.
Deflategate, that's here or there, but hey, something happened. To what extent, we don't know. But if these scandals were not on his resume, because it has to be on his resume because he's the head coach, he runs everything in New England. So with this being on his resume, Skip, I just don't know how I can say he's the greatest when I know this is on his resume. The greatest sprinter in the world can't test positive. If Michael Phelps were to have ever tested positive, no matter how many gold medals he's won, people are not going to say he's the greatest swimmer because they say he cheated.
I would agree.
So that's where I am with Coach Belichick. Do I think he's a great coach? Yes, but he cheated.
Is he maybe the greatest defensive mind? He's up there.
Yes.
He might be the greatest defensive mind.
His game plan that they used in the Super Bowl against the Buffalo Bills, to stop the K-gun, is in the Hall of Fame.
Okay. And then he stopped the St. Louis Rams, the greatest show on turf.
Yes.
14-point favorites in that first Super Bowl. I'll give Belichick full credit for that. But when we get to greatest coach ever with this legacy of cheating, you're disqualified for me. Sorry, game over.
I'm sorry. I mean, there's so many rules that have been changed. Now they bring the balls to the stadium in an armored truck. You used to. He was skirting the rules. He would send in an eligible player to report as ineligible, so the ineligible player could be eligible. They changed that. You can no longer do that anymore. So it's just.
That's true.
It's just for me. The Spygate is determining factor. It's on his resume, and I don't know how I can get around that and say he's the greatest when I know what he did. He broke the rule intentionally. It's not like he didn't know because the commissioner had sent the memo out at the start of the season. So he knew he was not supposed to be taping from the sideline.
Maybe it was just a little confusing, the memo.
Don't tape from the field. What field do you think he was talking about? Maybe he was talking about a cornfield or a wheat field.
It was pretty clear.
Maybe.
No mercy. This is the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast, where we're delivering you an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the biggest topics of the day's show. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, like us on Facebook at Undisputed on FS1, follow on Twitter at Undisputed, and catch us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, Monday through Friday on FS1. You can find us on Channel 219 on DirecTV, 150 on Dish. Thanks for listening, everyone. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. Come back and see us tomorrow as we once again are live from Houston and are joined by DeMarcus Ware, Eli Manning, and yes, the race might be on tomorrow because Jason Witten is here. We'll talk to you on Friday.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.